We are 11 weeks through the college football season, which is a wild thing to say out loud. But with that being the case, we're not that far from college football playoff games happening. Like, we got regular season college football playoff games happening, but we're going to get round 1, round 2 here like next month, we have college football playoff games. So with that being said, I thought now would be appropriate for us to unpack some potential matchups. Should the college football playoff be happening tomorrow based on our Nothing But Ball rankings, we'd have a 12-team field that would have some electric first-round matchups. We'll break this down right now. Before we do that, make sure you subscribe right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football year-round. All the way through the regular season, into the playoff, into portal season, into the off. Like, we're talking college football year-round. It is the greatest sport on the face of planet Earth. Get to cover it for a living, which is a joke. Make sure you're a part of this channel right here, though. Appreciate y'all being subscribed. So, let me give you the lay of the land here when it comes to the playoff format we have as of right now. If we were the committee, here's what the playoff would look like. You would have Ohio State, Texas A&M, Indiana, and Alabama in that order, all getting byes as your top 4 seeds. So Ohio State at 1, I just mentioned A&M at 2, Indiana at 3, Alabama at 4. Then it gets interesting. All right, now these seedings obviously could look a little bit different because I think specifically Texas at number 11 would be a little bit different because they're going to have a different ranking should they find themselves in the college football playoff by nature of the path they have to go through to get there. But I want to just go back to what I was saying a second ago and unpack some of these first-round matchups that we could have. Oregon and Notre Dame would play in round 1. Think about this. Marcus Freeman and Dan Lanning facing off in a college football playoff game. Is there not a better battle of cultures? Like, two coaches that would be delivering promos all week long leading up to that game. Have to imagine the post-game press conference would be absolute electricity. I don't know if there's a better first-round matchup between those two teams that we could possibly get. And then if you're Ohio State waiting to play the winner of that game, you got to be sitting there like, are you serious? We're the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. By nature of us winning the Big Ten here, and we got to play either a rematch of last year's Rose Bowl, potentially here a 1-loss Oregon team, or we got to play a rematch of last year's national title game in Notre Dame. Everyone involved, both Ohio State and either the winner of Oregon Notre Dame, would be saying, okay, this sucks, but here we go. So that matchup in and of itself would be awesome, and then the matchup after that matchup would be incredible as well. Let's go to the 5 versus 12 matchup. I got Georgia playing the G5 rep in USF. Now, I want to make sure we say this out loud because we're very, very quick to, in the college football public, quick to dismiss the 5 versus 12 matchup because we see a logo probably from the SEC or the Big Ten in that number 5 spot, and then we see a G5 team in that 12 spot. We say, oh, well, that's going to be cake for the number 5 team, right? I don't know. Georgia hasn't been unbeatable this year. Now, they look great against Mississippi State. Georgia should win this game. Georgia, I believe, would be a double-digit point favorite to win this game, but you go ahead and look at the transitive property here. Georgia only beat Florida by 2 more points. USF also beat Florida, but it was a 18-16 game, and Georgia beat Florida 24-20. So I'm just saying, if you believe in that sort of thing, maybe, just maybe, get a frisky USF and get a good game. All that's to say, though, I do think Georgia will win that football game. And who do they play? But the Alabama Crimson Tide. Kirby versus DeBoer, round 3. Kalen DeBoer has had Kirby Smart's number in 2 separate games in 2 years. They have jumped on the dogs in the first half, and their offensive game plan has really given Kirby and Glenn Schumann a little bit of trouble. Do we see that repeat itself for the 3rd time? You know how hard it is to beat a team 3 times? Extremely difficult. But going off of the track record here, Kalen DeBoer has not lost to a 1 Kirby Smart. So that in itself would be cinema in every single sense of the word. Now the 6 versus 11 matchup, Ole Miss versus Texas. I alluded to this at the open, and I want to go back and say this. If Texas makes the college football playoff, I personally have a hard time seeing them getting in as an 11 seed because they'll play Georgia and they'll play Texas A&M. If they beat both those teams, they're probably getting a bye. Maybe there's a world where Texas gets in at 9-3, and then you could see them at number 11. But this would be the best offensive mind matchup of the whole bracket. Lane Kiffin versus Steve Sarkisian. And then 2 different quarterbacks with opposite storylines. Arch Manning, perceived to be by a lot of the public now, not us, but a lot of the public, the next best Manning, potential number 1 overall pick before the year even starts, Heisman Trophy favorite, which we always said was ridiculous. He's finding his footing, though. And who is he playing but a 1 Trinidad Chambliss, who was playing D2 a year ago? So that matchup would be awesome. I think you'd see a bunch of points scored in that game. I think it'd be electrifying in every single sense. But then the winner of that game plays Indiana. Y'all, this might be the most bloodbathy part of the bracket. Whoever gets out of that whole 2-game stretch between Ole Miss and Texas and the winner of Indiana and Ole Miss, or Indiana and Texas, because I think the roster talent between those 3 teams is actually pretty similar. Like, Texas has recruited at the highest level, but they haven't really played to that personnel. Indiana, they're not recruiting with Texas, but they've got a bunch of draft picks on that team. And then Ole Miss, every single year, seems to go to the portal and have a roster capable of going to the college football playoff. This year, they're actually going to make the college football playoff, and I think they'll make some noise when they get there. But that whole matchup with Cignetti, Kiffin, and Sark, can you imagine we get a Kiffin and Cignetti college football playoff game? The sound bites, the press conferences would just, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Now, the last part of the bracket here, you have number 7 Texas Tech and number 10 Georgia Tech. This would be a matchup of 2 teams that, for the college football world, I think are still trying to maybe earn some respect, because it's the ACC champ and the Big 12 champ, and everyone's got a take on this whole thing, and that's more than fine. But I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Texas Tech, just so we're on the same page here, be seated even higher than 7 should they win the Big 12, and if they beat BYU twice. I digress. This would be a lot of fun, though, when it comes to the matchup after this game, because if you get Texas Tech and Texas A&M, who is, again, my 2 seed in this conversation, the winner of that game arguably could market themselves as the team in the state of Texas. Saying, wait, JD, but Texas is in the dance too, right? Yeah, I hear you, and Texas is still Texas, but 2 teams that would be conference have played in their conference title game, rather, in this discussion, and the ability to pitch yourself as the team in the state of Texas here going forward, the modern team in the state of Texas, I think the juice that would present on the recruiting trail for both sides of the thing, as if either side needed that, would be massively impactful to the future of the college football playoff and beyond. So just keep a pulse on that. But if we get Georgia Tech and Texas A&M, guess what we get? A little Haynes King revenge spot. Haynes King versus his old team at A&M, a team that when Jimbo Fisher was there, benched him. I think all the juice in the world would be behind Haynes King. And also Brent Key. You don't think maybe he'd want to go win that game? 1, because it'd be huge for Georgia Tech. And 2, internally, to get their starting quarterbacks lick back against their former team. I'm just saying now, there would be some storylines aplenty there if Georgia Tech were to play a Texas A&M. So again, these rankings are our rankings. If we're the committee, this is how the playoff would look if it started tomorrow. I understand it's going to change a lot. I understand November is going to do November things in the world of college football, and we will see madness and upsets and things that we didn't see coming. But if the playoff started tomorrow, this is the first-round matchups we would get and potential second-round matchups we would get, and I think it would be, just a work of art when it comes to what playoff football would be for us as college football fans. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section, what you think about this field, and then also the first-round or maybe second-round matchup that you're most looking forward to. All right? Appreciate y'all being subscribed. Appreciate y'all making this show what it is. For Caden Smith on the 1s and the 2s, myself, JD Pickell. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.